there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette at 2 o'clock. I'm coming to you live from Oran Park in New South Wales. I'm in my daughter's kitchen, Jenna, and I'm super excited to be visiting them because it is my little granddaughter, Sophia Annette. She's my favourite. Not really, but it's her birthday today and she's turned 4. So I decided that I would make something today that we could have for afternoon tea. But before we get into that, let's just talk about how much you all loved the Chicken in a Hurry out of book 1 last week. It was fantastic and so many people were saying to me, oh, that's one of my favourites. And for those that hadn't tried it, I know they were really excited about how easy and simple it was. I mean, stop it right now. You don't need cooking skills for some of these recipes I have, that's for sure. Now, we had 3 winners from last week and they were very, very happy ladies. Cheryl Beswick, Donna Marie Andrews and Maureen Hapgood. Now, you girls have got a signed copy in the mail, so look in your letterbox because it'll be coming soon. And of course, I'll be doing a giveaway as we get further into the show. So now this week, as you can tell, I'm in the kitchen and I'm in Jenna's fabulous kitchen. I might say it's a bit amazing. And what I'm going to make for you today is a recipe from book 5. So it's out of this book. And it's the cherry chocolate crackles. That's them there. Now, of course, you're going to go, yes, who doesn't love a chocolate crackle? But there's a big difference to mine compared to the traditional one. And I'll be talking about that as we go. So now the first thing I need to do is I need to chop up the cherry ripe because I'm going to melt it first. Now, when you look at the ingredients we've got here, you probably just have a quick shop and you'll be able to make this anytime you like. So there's the rice bubbles. You need 3 cups of rice bubbles. I'm going to chop up some glacé cherries, so you need a total of 1/4 cup chopped, 2 cherry ripes. I know, I'm excited. And you also have 1/4 cup of desiccated coconut. But what you do with the desiccated coconut is you actually put it under the grill. I put it on some foil and then I just toast it so it goes a nice toasty colour. And I'll explain why I do that in a minute. You also have 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of Floralite margarine. Golden syrup, we need 2 tablespoons. We need 1 tablespoon of the cocoa, and I do love the Plaistow. That's my favourite because it's really dark and rich. And you're also going to need a teaspoon of coconut essence. So I think that's everything. So what I do is I melt first. So we get the 2 cherry ripes, and all you have to do is just chop them up. Put them in the bin over here. And so what I normally do is I just go down. Let's move this so we can see. I just cut strips. So I've got about 4 or 5 strips for each cherry ripe bar. And then just go along and dice them. So look, it's funny, I try to do them all at once because it's just all so much easier. So just get them, just give them you don't want them too big because, you want plenty of them in each of the cherry ripe crackles. And I thought of this recipe because, we've all loved, chocolate crackles. And I thought, I wish there was a healthier way to do it because one of the base ingredients to a chocolate crackle is cofa. And that's just a really high saturated fat and very rich. And you also put a lot of icing sugar in it as well. All right, so now I've chopped up the cherry ripe. Now this has got a difficulty rating of 2, but let's be honest, I don't know how hard it is. And then I'm going to put in the 30 grams of the Floralite margarine in the sink, and then 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. I'm going to give that a squeeze. Now, normally in a cherry, chocolate crackle, you would be surprised how much fat is in just one cherry, chocolate crackle. And, oh gosh, this is so hard to do. All right, get the muscles going, Annette. I can do it. And, it's interesting when you put the cherry flavours together with the chocolate and the crackles. It's just delicious. And it's just not as sickly and so oily because it doesn't have the cofa. Oh, well done, me. Oh, my muscles. All righty, so let's just get the rest of that in there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to put this in the microwave, and Jenna has her little microwave down here, which is very handy. I'm going to put on high for 2 minutes. All right. Now, when that's done, we'll give it a stir, make sure it's all mixed up, and we'll see if we need to do any longer. So let's chop up the cherry ripes. Now, not cherry ripe, the glacé cherries. I like to put red in because it's all about cherry. And I think that you'll notice a lot of the cherries now don't seem to be as red as they used to be, and I think that's because of the whole thing about putting colouring in. And I don't know about you guys, but Smarties are just not the same. I'm sorry, they just look so wishy-washy. But of course, I suppose they're supposed to be healthy for you, but a healthy Smartie, I don't think people are worrying about it when they're having Smarties. All right, so we're chopping the cherries up. I want 1/4 cup, so let's see how many I need. And the other thing that you've got to remember is that I'm all about the low saturated fats. Now, the fat count of a typical chocolate crackle the calories are 160 calories probably for just one crackle. Now, my calories for this one, get it excited, it's only 97 calories. So that fits in well, doesn't it? And the fat count, a normal little, chocolate crackle has about 13 grams of fat, and mine is only 3.3. I know. Isn't that fantastic? All right, so I've got 1/4 cup of cherries here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in with the rice bubbles, and that was, remember, it was 3 cups. I'm going to put in the coconut, which remember was 1/4 cup. Now, why I do the desiccated, because I find it's finer than the shredded, and also by toasting it, you get a lot stronger flavour. And this is where I'm a little bit clever, I know, let's call it like it is. And what happens is because you toast it, it gives it more flavour. So you don't need as much. Oh, this looks great. Look at that, that's all melted, looking gorgeous. Now what I'm going to put in here as well is I'm going to put in a teaspoon of coconut essence because, hello, we're all about coconut here. This will give it a really extra boost of coconut, and that way I'm only putting in that smaller amount of coconut. Now coconut, you think, is it healthy? Well, not really. It is a bit saturated fat, but it is very high in fat. And so by putting the essence in, for me, it means I'm always looking at how can I reduce the fat count. Now I'm putting in here a tablespoon of cocoa, and look, if you don't have a sifter at home, I just use my little strainers sometimes, and they work a treat. Look how easy that was. Okay, so we've got everything in. Just mix that together. I think we're going to have a really fun afternoon tea with this. And I'm going to I'll just mix these through first. Put your hands in, get in and, this is a fantastic one. We're going into school holidays in Queensland, and then New South Wales and everyone will be shortly after. And this would be a fun thing for the kids to make in the kitchen because there's nothing too dangerous about it. The bigger kids can chop up the cherry ripe. You're just going to have to make sure that they don't eat too much of it while they're chopping it up. I think that's looking fabulous. That can go in my soapy water. Oh my gosh, I've got some on my finger. Looking good. Now, we're just going to mix that together. That's it. Oh my gosh, it smells so good because, you know, you can really get that kick of the cherry. And, you know, for me, it's a really better way than eating a cherry ripe, for example, because, you know, they've got much more fat than 3.3, which is exactly what one of these will cost you. And so we mix them together. Now, the tip with this is it is better kept in the fridge, okay? You don't want to you put them in school lunch boxes because they'll crumble up. So there you go. Oh, I can see all the little bits of cherry in there. This is looking fantastic. Now, I've got my little patty tins all ready to go. Now, this is what I always do, just to give you a tip. Let me just get rid of all this. What I do is I put them in the muffin tin because that way then they hold better. And I find that works really well because they stay up higher and they don't collapse. So I've got to get 12 out of this. So let's just put them in and push them in so they get a little bit firm. Oh my gosh, who wouldn't love this? This is, you know, I'm making this for the little kids, but I think the big kids are going to be queuing up for some as well. That's for sure. Now remember, this is out of book 5. It's my fantastic cherry chocolate crackles. And I think for this week, what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to have to give away a book 5. I think so, because this is where you can then make this recipe yourself. And then what we'll do is I'm going to pick 3 fabulous lucky people to win. So I wonder if it's going to be you. Now, I'm just going to fill these up. I mean, you get the idea here, don't you? Just filling them up. Now, I sometimes actually make them just a little bit smaller and get more of them because especially at parties, you know, they don't want big ones. But you can see that I've still got a bit of mixture in here. So I could be way more generous with my sizes because, you know, who doesn't want a nice big one? But anyway, I'm making a mess. It's all good. There's the cherry crackles. As I said, push them down in so they get firm. And then in the fridge. And when they're set, crunch time. It's guilt-free. I mean, who knew that weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Oh my gosh. So now to win this fabulous book, and you know you want to, what you have to do is you have to like, share, and in the comments, you know what you got to do. You do hashtag simply #2good. Now, some of you aren't writing them in, and I'm actually saying to you, oops, sorry, you haven't done it right, because I can't pick you unless you do it that way. So it's hashtag simply 2good, and you'll be in the win to win a fabulous thought that this would be a good time to talk about some really simple, easy tips and ways to exercise over winter. Because I think winter you can pack on the pounds, pack it on, and then when summer comes it can be a real worry. So let's not have that happening too soon. So that's it for this week. You're going to be hopefully making some cherry crackles in the school holidays. And just remember, 3.3 grams of fat, 97 calories. It's called just simply too good to be true. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.